Alright guys, today we're here to do another Infinity game table video, and the game we're taking a look at today is Bowling Solitaire. Bowling Solitaire is a game that you could play either by yourself in solo mode to try and get the highest score and try to get a perfect 300 game just like you would in real bowling. Or you can also play in multiplayer and play with up to 4 people. Everyone grabs a corner and then everyone's trying to bowl and go through their 10 frames trying to get the highest score possible. As you can see here, it definitely has a look of bowling and a look of solitaire combined. What's really cool about this game is the area of the cards that you're trying to get rid of is basically your pins. You have your 10 frames sitting up there that you're trying to go through. And this section right here, which is usually your deck of cards, is considered your ball. And that's basically your ball 1. And then if you try to get rid of cards by matching numbers, by combining numbers and trying to use those numbers, and then trying to get the highest score possible in the game. So let me show you guys how this game is played and what I think about it.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so here we are on the main menu here of Bowling Solitaire. You can see you have the nice feeling music in the background here. And you can see there's 2 options here at the main menu. You got the solo play and the multiplayer play. So you can play this game by yourself to try and get a perfect 300, just like in bowling. Or you're going to have multiplayer, which lets you play 4 players on the table. And I'll show you guys that at the end of at least what it actually looks like. Now, something to keep in mind in this game, and obviously I'm going to show you guys what the rules are in this game, but there are a couple of things you should keep note. You should definitely read through the how to play section before you play the game so you understand exactly what you're doing, especially clearing the pins, because this obviously is a very different solitaire game. Fun fact, I'm not really a big solitaire fan at all. I almost dismissed this game entirely because I'm not really a big solitaire fan. And then I decided to give it a shot. And now this is one of my favorite games in the Infinity game table, with the fact that it has local multiplayer for 4 people. And the fact that it's just really, really unique. And kudos to the guy who made this game because he really did a really good job of making something new out of solitaire. And you guys will see that here in the gameplay. So definitely read that to see how you play. And then also what I really like is that there's a high score feature on here. So you can see me and my wife have played a game already. My name on the top, 84 to 81. We didn't get any spares or strikes, so we were pretty bad. But we got a feel for the game, which is good. And I love the fact that this game has high scores. I've told this to Arcade1Up a lot. We need to have high scores for local leaderboards and stuff for all of their games when it makes sense. Because obviously having local competition makes this game fun. If I did a great hand in this Bowling Solitaire and I never got to see it again because it wasn't obviously done or saved or anything, it wouldn't be as fun. So great to see that option here in this game. So let's go ahead and start on solo. And you can see here, you can just select any player you want. What's really cool about this game is you can actually name yourself too, and it actually keeps the name saved, as you guys can see here. My name is already there from the last game I played. You could just drag it. There's 6 balls because you can select a different color you want to be, not because you can play with 6 people at the same time or anything. And you can just click on your name there if you wanted to just name yourself whatever you want on there on the bowling score. But obviously I'll leave mine there, and we'll hit play. So here is the look of the game. So you're thinking, all right, this definitely looks like solitaire, but there are some cool things in here that are going on with this game. So the first thing I want to talk about here is the fact that, of course, you can see that this is laid out like if they were pins, like if you were at a bowling alley and it was setting up pins. So that's how it sets up there. And you can see you're playing 10 different frames on the top there, just like you would in bowling. And we're going to follow the same procedure. So think about it this way. The cards that you're trying to get rid of, like if you were playing solitaire, that is your pins over here on the right. And the deck of cards that you would consider in solitaire, those are right here, and they're considered your balls. So all 3 of these stacks is essentially ball 1 of your frame. And what you're trying to do is, of course, get rid of as many of these pins as possible. If you get rid of all of the cards on the first ball, then of course you get a strike. If you don't, and you have to hit next ball and get a new set of cards up here, then you're essentially going to get a spare if you can get rid of all the cards. Or if you can't get rid of all the cards, then of course you'll get what you're supposed to get. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So you can obviously just match this very simple, and you could just say, hey, I have a 1 on my ball here, and I have a 1 over here, so I could just select the 1 and just get rid of it like that, and now we got rid of 1 of the cards. Very simple. So you can just match the numbers. But of course, there's more to it than that. You're trying to get rid of cards by as many as 3. So you can get rid of 3 adjacent cards up to 3. You can do 1, 2, or 3 adjacent. And the way that works is you're basically going to have to do some math and figure out which one of these you can actually do it with. So let's say, for example, that this is a 0, this is a 9, and let's say that we add 9 plus 4. So that gives us 13, and we see that there's a 3 here. So when you add up a number, the last number of that number that you have is what the number that you're using on the ball. So this being 13, when I highlight all 3 of these, that's the 3 at the end of the 13 that matches. So I get rid of all 3 of those cards. So we come over here, and now we see we have a 6 over here. Let's say 6, 7. This is 6, 7, 8, 9. That doesn't work. And then we also have, but we can use adjacent one. So now we got a 10 over here, and 6 with a 4, 10, and then that's a 13. So that doesn't work out for us. We got 2 5s here. That's a 10. Another 5 here. That'd be a 13. And then if we did these 3, that's 18. So that doesn't work for us. So I think we're kind of screwed here as far as what we can actually use. So unless I'm missing something on video stressing out, I think we're screwed. So essentially, the most I've gotten is those pins that you saw me get before. So I'm going to have to hit next ball. You can see the cards refresh here. And then you can see my first essential throw in bowling is a 4 because I got rid of 4 of those pins. And now I get 2 fresh cards that I could actually use here. So now we have the 7 and the 2 here. So let's see what we can do with that. So what we could do here is we can grab these 2 from the back. That would be our 7. And then we got a 0 over here. So we could do those 2 5s for a 10. 18 doesn't do anything for us. So yeah, we can grab these 2 here. That would be our 0. Unfortunately, obviously, these aren't adjacent to each other. So even if we could select both of them, obviously we can't. But obviously the 2 doesn't fit regardless. But you can't match a 2 with a 6 because that's a 6 and that's an 8. So all we can do is hit next ball, and that's our frame 1. We essentially bowled an 8 in frame 1. And that's essentially what you're trying to do on each of these hands here. But it's really cool how this game is done, and it makes you feel like you're really bowling. And there's a couple of other things too that make you feel like you're really bowling that kind of fit the nature of you bowling. So you can see right at the beginning frame, you can't touch the middle one on your first hit, and you can't touch the back ones before you hit the front ones, because why? If you roll a ball in bowling, it's obviously going to hit the first pins first. So it would make sense that no matter how you throw a ball in bowling, you're never going to hit the back pins first usually. So that's why these back pins are not being touched, so it makes it feel more like bowling with the way you throw it. So that's why when you select one, you'll see certain ones disappear, because if you select this first one, obviously the next one you got to select is something from the second row. You can't go from selecting the first one to selecting one in the back. That makes no sense. You got to hit the pins in the front. You would never hit a ball and hit this first pin and then hit something in the third or the fourth row. So it kind of makes you feel like you're really bowling and the ball's actually traveling through these pins depending on how you actually select them, which is really, really cool. Like I said, and I really like the style of gameplay in here and what you're trying to do. And again, you're doing that for 10 frames. You're trying to get the highest score possible, trying to get spares and strikes if possible, and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool. And then it saves your highest local leaderboard. But what I really like about this game that kind of sets it apart, in my opinion, is I thought this was just going to be a solo game, because obviously it's solitaire. And that's why I don't really like solitaire games, because I don't really like card games by myself, even though this one is really fun to compete to get the highest score possible, and I make an exception for this one, but still, they took it a step further. And if we go back to the main menu here, let me show you guys what the multiplayer looks like. On here, you can actually select up to 4 people to play. So if I were to just grab these guys here and just put everybody in a different section, you could do 1, 2, 3, or 4 people in each of their spots, and then you hit start. Now you're all kind of playing bowling at the same time. You can see how that's set up. Everyone has a little corner here, and everyone grabs a corner of the board, and then you're all playing bowling, essentially trying to get through these 10 frames and see who gets the highest score. I think this is really, really cool. Not because 4 players is that innovative. Obviously, we have a lot of games on here that are 4 players, but that's what I think this table shines at, and that's why I like this table so much, is for the local multiplayer aspect of it. But I just think that, at least me, and maybe other people have seen something like this before, but I've never seen a solitaire game like this before, and as a person who loves bowling, this is just a fantastic combination of playing bowling and solitaire and making it actually fun. Like I said, I am not a fan of solitaire, and I could easily say that this game is actually fun to play, whether it's me by myself trying to go after a high score, or me obviously playing with other people around the table, which, again, this is definitely going to be one of my top ones that I bring out when people are over and stuff, because it's going to be really easy for people to understand, and it's going to be fun to play, and everybody understands bowling and the concept of it, and I just explained it to you guys, but it's a lot of fun to try and go after and get your high score, try to get these spares and strikes, and try to get the strategy undergoing, to try and get some of these spares and strikes in these frames. Because, like I said, me and my wife played and we didn't get any spares or strikes in the game. So I was really close, like multiple times. I had like 4 9s, but always got stuck down to that one last card that I couldn't get rid of. But yeah, this game, guys, is definitely a standout. One of my favorites on the table. And I definitely recommend that you guys check this out if you guys are fans of card games, if you guys are fans of bowling, if you guys are a fan of local multiplayer games for 4 players like this, any of that kind of stuff. I think you guys should definitely check it out. And there's some math involved, so kids will have fun with this and they'll be learning how to count and stuff like that if you want to play it with your kids and family. So I think this ticks a lot of boxes on here. The local leaderboards is great. So I think they did a really good job with this. And again, kudos to the guy who made this years ago, because really, really cool stuff with combining solitaire and bowling. Would have never thought to hear that those 2 words combined together, but here we are, and it's great fun, guys. So check this one out, Bowling Solitaire on the Infinity Game Table. If you guys have any questions about what you guys seen in today's video, as always, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.